This is going to be a fun episode. I can just feel it. We already had some conversations. Again, Ivan and I have never actually met in person, just connected online and watching what he's doing. And it's pretty cool to reach out to him. Like, hey, dude, I'd love to have the podcast. Let's connect. We actually tried to do this yesterday. I'm not going to lie. And technical difficulties. My computer was shut down. Couldn't get back into it. So, Ivan, I apologize profusely about that. You're super good sport about it. So, appreciate hanging in there with us today. But we have Ivan Mardesich. But cool, Ivan. Well, a lot to talk about today. I'm super excited. I know you got a lot of cool things going on. I know you started 75 Hard, so talk about that and how that journey has been. Had a pretty crazy week. You and I kind of talked about it yesterday over in Utah, so we can chat about that. We don't have to go too deep, but just I know you're really close to it within a mile with the whole Charlie Kirk thing, so we can chat about that. And yeah. So I know you own a company called Nature's Balance Pest Control over in Orem, Utah. And then there's like a trucking company in there too. We'll chat about that. But yeah, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you being here with us today.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm excited about it.
Me too. Have you done a lot of these?
Yeah, I think this is the third one I've been on now. I'm going on a Christian and business podcast, I think, in a couple weeks. And so that one will be fun. And then I was doing a podcast for a minute at the beginning of this year for our own company.
Cool. Why'd you stop doing that?
Just a lot of things, like we're going down. Basically, it was more for our sales reps.
Yeah, like an internal podcast?
Like an internal podcast for them.
Yeah, we do the same thing. Cool.
Raise them up and stuff, but this year our sales program actually didn't work out.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, and I learned a lot from it. Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way now because it taught me a lot.
I guess we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
right, so
dude.
if you haven't listened to the podcast before, I always start with this question.
Yeah.
If you and I are sophomores, juniors in high school, who is Ivan in high school? Like, I just like to know, like, the background, like where you come from, like the competitiveness, the drive, the entrepreneurship. Like, where does this all stem from? So, who are you in high school?
I was a freaking punk.
Really?
Yeah.
If that's not what I hear every single time.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I was a punk. I played football. I really liked football to a point, and then I was really into like BMX and track. I did track quite a bit, and those two sports I was doing a lot, track and football. I was in pretty good shape back then and stuff, and it was pretty competitive. But yeah, that's what I was doing. So if you did sports like that, we probably would have been friends.
Yeah, I played football and then I wrestled. So, and I played baseball for a while, and then I got to the point where I liked money, and so I started working when I was a freshman, or maybe a sophomore. Probably a sophomore. I started working during the summer. I had school to work, so I'd go to work before I went to school. So I get up at like 5:30. Most of the time, headed work at probably I think it was like 5:45. And then I work from like 6:15 to like 10:30, and then I go to school after that. So I did that my sophomore year, or sophomore year through my senior year, and I bagged groceries. And then I moved to the dairy department, so it was pretty cool. And then from there, I just started working in the summer because I just like to have nice stuff then too. I still like to have nice stuff, so guess we have to work for it.
I was a lazy man in high school. I didn't do anything except just work out and do sports.
Yeah. But
But
sports are fun.
I found my drive like in college. Like
Really?
right outside of college. I was like, yeah, because I always struggled with school. I never did well with grades or anything. But there was an interesting moment. My brother passed away when I was like in 8th grade,
Sorry to hear that.
and it happens and stuff. But after my brother passed away, I lost all drive of doing well in school.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And yeah, I used to get like pretty good grades. I was like in honor roll in junior high, and then when my brother passed, I just stopped trying. And then like when I got into high school, like I just had that bad habit of not getting good grades, and so I averaged like a 2.8 GPA all throughout high school and stuff. Barely graduated, but yeah, always my passions were competitive things. I really liked being competitive in sports and stuff, and I really liked being competitive in track.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I was the same way. I could give two shits about school back then. I was there for sports and girls, and as long as I had those two things, like I was good.
We would have been best friends then.
For real. Like, I enjoyed school just to hang out with my buddies and the friends, and like I didn't try at all, and I probably did say I think I had a 2.8 GPA. 1 point, I don't even know, 1.8 or 2.8 doesn't matter. But it wasn't because I wasn't smart. I was actually smart. I feel like I'm smart now, but I just didn't care. Like I didn't care about geometry. I didn't care about any of it. I had no passion for any of that. Like I was so bored out of my mind.
Yeah, for reals, and yeah, like with me with school, I could care less. I really could.
That's how I felt too. So what happened after high school after you graduate? Where do you go from there?
Oh, I went on an LDS mission. I went to Tucson, Arizona for that. You know,
That's not too bad. I've heard people like going to worse places than that.
oh, dude, that place is freaking hot.
It's hot. I was just there like 3 weeks ago. It was 117. I landed. I'm like, holy man, this is a whole different type of heat.
Yeah, no, bro. No, we called it Satan's armpit all the time because it was always so hot down there.
And it's so weird. Like you go from like Utah or for maybe not in Utah, but maybe Utah. And like here in Michigan, it's so green everywhere. And you go there and there's no green, it's just dirt and gravel everywhere.
Dude,
There's like
yeah.
landscaping, just rock, granite,
Yeah,
whatever they call it.
yeah.
It's different.
I know. I'm like, what is this place? I'm not living here.
Yeah.
But
So you did mission for 2 years. How was that?
oh, I actually did it only for 9 months.
9 months. Gotcha.
Yeah, I came home early. I actually just, I got in trouble out there. Had to fix some things, and it was actually a great learning experience from that.
And you were like what, 18?
Yeah, I just turned 19 when I came home from my mission. So I was basically out there from September to June. And so my birthday, I got told actually I was coming home.
On your
And
birthday?
so, yeah, it was
Happy
interesting.
birthday.
Yeah, I was like, happy birthday. You're going home, brother. I'm like, okay.
Were you happy or upset at that time?
I was ready for the challenge, honestly. It was, when you serve an LDS mission, I don't know if you're LDS or not, but
Nah, I don't come from that culture. Like I'm from Michigan. It's different over here.
yeah, no, for sure. Like when you serve an LDS mission, you got to be pretty dedicated to it. And before I was even going out there, I wasn't even close to dedicated to it. I read the Book of Mormon. I believed that it was true. And I was like, okay, I should probably go out there because that's what LDS people do. And I realized real fast that I was not ready to do that. You know, I had the partiness in me and I wanted to have a good time. And you can't be having a good time on a mission. You're out there preaching about Jesus Christ and you have to follow some pretty strict rules. And I wasn't ready to do that.
Gotcha.
And so when I got, you know, I when I went out there and like I was, I had to admit some things to my mission president, like, hey, I'm not following the rules out here. I was ready to go home and kind of face everything that was going to go with that because kind of LDS culture is a little interesting. It became more common around the time when I came home early, but it wasn't very common for missionaries to come home.
Yeah, and I mean, not that I know a ton of people that went on missions, but I've talked to a lot of people on the podcast. I've met a lot of guys knocking doors that all. And I've never to this point heard anyone coming home, so it's first for me too.
Yeah. And so yeah, I came home and I was a little mistreated by individuals in like my neighborhoods and stuff, but I was also treated very well by people in my neighborhood. So it was an interesting experience. So I kind of learned like, everybody has their own path. There should be no judgment, Everybody has their own path to where their destination is. And so I'm actually really glad I came home because I learned so much from coming home early, on a spiritual aspect and even a mental aspect, made me more mentally strong and more aware. Like when you dedicate yourself to something, you got to dedicate yourself to it. Like you got to be committed. You can't half-ass anything,
It's for real, like nothing.
you know?
And it's so cliche, but the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And you just can't half-ass things. And so either you put full effort in or
None at
you
all.
got to not at all. Yeah.
That's exactly how I am. I think we were talking about that like 2 podcasts ago. I'm like, it's like the podcast started. It was just fun at first, but then I was like, if I'm gonna do this thing, like, I'm not a half-ass kind of guy. I'm either all in, like probably too much, or not, like all out. So I was like, yeah, you should start golfing. I'm like, I have zero interest in golfing because I know what would happen. I'm so competitive that I'd play golf every single day, all day long until I figured it out.
Yeah.
And, like, I just don't
Yeah.
have the time to operate that right now.
Yeah, my business partner is a huge golfer, and I'm like, dude, I could care less. I'm just out here for a good time. I'm actually very competitive with snowboarding and dirt biking. That's what I like to be good at right now. So
That's awesome. Are you sick of paying marketing agencies and not getting results? Well, we are hosting the #1 step-by-step class on how to attract and generate sales without paying a marketing agency or having a huge budget. Most lawn care and pest control owners get stuck at a ceiling because they're dealing with outdated systems or relying on guesswork waiting for the phones to ring. Our upcoming class this Thursday provides proven strategies to generate hundreds of leads without a huge budget. We'll show you how to build a predictable system to grow past $1 million. We show you how to automate your marketing. We'll also teach you how to delegate and build your team so you have more time. So click the link in the description below. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this. This is the one thing that I wish I had learned a lot sooner. Now, let's get back to the show. So you go to run your mission, come back early, kind of walk us through the next few years, your journey there. Did you get recruited, I'm assuming? Go do pest control? What is just an assumption?
yeah, so I came home. I spent about 8 or 9 months just living with my parents, trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And so I worked at this state developmental center of high functioning autism and Asperger's. They were criminals, but they couldn't go to
Gotcha.
jail because of their disabilities. So I worked
Interesting.
with them for about a year, and then I got recruited by Natura Pest Control.
Ah,
Yeah, and so the previous owner, his name was Danny Edvilson, and one of his partners was Austin Graham at the time, and he recruited me to go do door to door.
gotcha.
And I went out and I did door to door,
Where'd you go?
Bakersfield, California. So I think they had a company in Bakersfield. They had one in Vancouver. I might be wrong. I think it was Vancouver, Washington. They had one, and then they had one in Tri-Cities.
Sounds right, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
So, but I think it was Jake Klaus up in Washington.
Yep,
But I
it
was
is
down
Jake.
so I was down in California with Danny Edvilson, um, and then Austin Graham, and then Greg, my bad. So,
Awesome.
but so I did door to door. I did all right, but I was having health issues at the time when I did door to door. I used to have epilepsy.
Gotcha. How does one get over epilepsy? Or don't you? I guess.
Dude, it's a crazy story. So I was born with kind of a cell growth on the left side of my brain, and basically, I started having seizures like in the fourth grade. In the fourth grade, they took me to the doctors. They did an MRI scan, and they found this like growth on the left side of my brain, on my temporal lobe. And they're like, "Oh, this is probably where your seizure activity is coming from and stuff. We're going to do another test in a couple of weeks to see if it's a tumor, just to see if it's growing or anything." And so like we do MRIs for like a couple months, and it wasn't growing. So they're like, "Okay, you just have like this cell growth. We think you were born with it, or maybe you were dropped as a baby."
All
Our
my
family,
friends tell me the same thing.
yeah, my family jokes that my mom dropped me, just to give her a hard time.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, I didn't have seizures from fourth grade to eighth grade. But when my brother passed away, I started having seizures like crazy.
Wow, that's interesting, hey?
Yeah, and so like if they think it's really due to anxiety, and then also due to like stress or like not good sleep. And so I hit eighth grade, I started having seizures. Or it was like, actually, I was having seizures all the way up to eighth grade. So it was fourth grade to eighth grade. I was consistently having them. Then they didn't let me play football like eighth grade. And so like my brother passed away, couldn't play football. It was a really hard year for me. But then I got a new doctor because I'm like, this is BS. Like I already have seizures. What's the worst thing that could happen? And so I got a new doctor. He's like, dude, you can play football. Who cares? And so I did. And then from the eighth grade all the way up to my mission, I didn't have a single seizure. And I think it was because I was in really good physical shape. And then when I got home from my mission, I didn't work out at all. And when so after I came home from a mission, I started having them like crazy. And I was having seizures like on the doors all the time too. And so I only did like a half summer, but when I turned 24, so it was like 4 years later after doing door to door, I had a brain surgery. And basically they discovered that one, my brain was ambidextrous, so I used both sides of my brain. So they felt comfortable doing the brain surgery. And then two, they discovered that it was actually a tumor when they did the autopsy on the tumor or on the cell growth. And they called it a PLNTY, and the definition of it is a tumor of the young. So it was growing over this time, but in very small measurements, like micro measurements. So you couldn't see that it was growing unless it was under a microscope.
Yeah, because usually tumors, like my sister had brain cancer too, and like they found the tumor, and then like, man, like 2 weeks later, it was behind her eye. Within like 2 to 3 weeks, her eye was already starting to push out of her the eye socket. So it's not like it's typically fast. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was crazy that that was a tumor the entire time. And so they removed that around my birthday. And I haven't had a seizure since.
So
It's a
awesome.
miracle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
And it was crazy too because from 18 to 24, I wasn't allowed to drive because of my seizures. And so I used to skate to work. I used to ride my bike to work. And like I lived in Orem and my work was in Salt Lake. So I'd ride my bike or skate to the train, take the train, skate to work. And it was about a 2-hour commute to work and then a 2-hour commute back home every day with a 8-hour shift. And so like it taught me like you got to do what you got to do if you want to make money.
For sure. So you went and knocked doors for a summer over in California, and but you weren't feeling so hot then.
No, I was having seizures like probably once a week out there. It was interesting because like you have to have good sleep if you don't want to have seizures. And like as a college kid, that's hard to do when you're with all your buddies, you're out selling. You sell all day, you want to stay up all night and hang out with your
And you got to
buddies.
go to eat, then you got to go work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you wake up early to go work out and you get ready for sales training and stuff. So I wasn't getting really a lot of time to sleep. And so I was consistently having seizures. And luckily, Danny Edwilson, he was one of the owners of Natura at the time. He helped me out a lot with that. And I really appreciate him for that. And so after that, I dipped from door to door and I started working just other jobs. And then I had that brain surgery when I was 24 and I did door to door sales when I was 20. So 4 years down, after I had brain surgery, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a fireman. I'm going to go into SWAT with my buddies because that's what my buddies are doing. And I was getting my EMT and everything, and I was going to go work for a department in Utah. And basically, I was looking at, I was asking my buddy what he was making. I'm like, wait, what? And at that time, I was a technician for Nature's Balance.
Huh.
Yeah. And I'm like, what's your paycheck? And he's like, oh, it's this. And I'm like, I'm making that and I'm spraying bugs. I'm like, are you serious? Like, why am I going to school for this? And so
Light bulb moment. Hey. Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, okay, what do I do actually? Because if I'm making the money here right now, I need to figure something out because I don't want to work all this effort into school and stuff to make the same amount of money. And so I actually read like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read all these different business books, and I went to the owner of Nature's Balance. I'm like, hey, how are you growing this thing? I'm like, I want in. And basically, he's like, well, I need someone to open up Utah County, and that's just one of the counties in Utah. And I'm like, I'll do it. And so I bought my own truck, I bought my own equipment, my own products, and everything. And so that next year, I was a contractor for him. And I pulled on, like, when we start around like April or May in Utah just because of the weather sometimes.
So you're out there selling the jobs, servicing the jobs, and he's getting the cut off the top. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I was getting 85% from the Utah County market, and I was getting about 25% from his market.
Was he getting you leads at the time too? Is he helping you with all
No.
that? Okay.
Uh-uh. And so I would just jump into new developments, things like that. And I went into my parents' neighborhood, dropped off flyers and stuff, and I pulled in probably about 75 customers.
From flyers and door hangers, were you actually knocking
Uh-huh.
doors?
And
Or
just
not
like
knocking
telling
doors?
all my buddies, yeah, I didn't knock doors, but I was just really like, hey guys, I'm doing this. And I started calling people. I'm like, hey, you want my service? And people were like, yeah, we'll do it. And I would post on Facebook all the time too. Um, and then I started realizing how good the money was. And I was like, okay, either I'm going to start my own or he's going to sell this to me because he just wanted me to buy that region. I'm like, this doesn't make sense to just buy a region. And so I went to him, and it's funny because my business partner, his name's Spencer, and he's actually a 50-50 owner with me. And he was actually working for Nature's Balance too. And he was hired to buy the company um, from the previous owner.
Was the previous owner older and getting ready to
Yeah.
retire? Oh,
Yeah. He
gotcha.
was ready.
So
So,
he was setting up this next guy for success, and yeah.
uh-huh. But I wedged myself in. And so there came a point where I went to
Did you know Spencer at this? Did you know him at all at this point?
kind of like I heard that he was managing Salt Lake County. I was managing Utah County. And so we were kind of like, okay, we can be friends or we can be enemies. Like, what's going on? And so what happened was I went to the owner. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start my own or you sell this to me. And he's like, one sec. He's like, go get Spencer. And he brings me and Spencer in. And like, we don't even know each other at this time. He's like, have you guys thought about buying this together? And we're like, what? What do you mean? He's like, I want to sell you the company this year. And we're like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, no, we'll definitely think about it, like trying to be professional. And I was 25 at the time. Spencer's 23 at the time. And we get in our trucks and we drive away. And I call him, what the hell was that, dude? Are you kidding me? Like, we get this? Like, oh, like we're losing our cheese. We were so excited about it. And so we're like, well, we got to start dating, brother. Let's figure it out. And so, we after work we'd meet up a lot and like get to know each other and stuff. And I'm pretty out there. I'm pretty blunt with everything in my life. Like I don't really have anything to hide. So it kind of scared Spencer a little bit how honest I was about things. But he came to realize, that that's just who I am. And Spencer is an animal on the number side. And so I'm really good at relationships and, building morale and culture and stuff. And Spencer is just so good at systemizing and processing. And so like over that next 6 months, we were trying to acquire this business, was asking for a chunk of money. It was about 1.1 at the time. And dude, we could not find a broker that was helping us get the money for it.
I just wrote down financing. That was my next question. You're 23, 24 years old, asking for 1.2, 1.5 million. Like, okay, let's hear this story.
So we were going from broker to broker. We're like, hey, can you make this happen? No, no. Like, you guys need more experience. Like, I'm like, but we've been in this business. I've worked for this guy for 3 years. And Spencer at that time, that was his second year in. And I'm like, we got the experience. They're like, this doesn't make sense. And so like we kept going to different brokers. It took about, I think we hit our 8th broker. And shout out to Jeremy. He was so awesome. And we still work with him this day trying to acquire other companies.
Cool. I'm assuming did he send you through SBA, or what did that look like?
Yeah. And so we went through SBA. We found an SBA lender in North Carolina.
Which you still have to come up with like roughly what, 10%? I think. I don't remember the last
5.
time I looked, but 5%. Okay, cool.
So we had to find, about 72K. And we both split that, 50-50. And so I found my money, he found his money.
I got it.
And
Can you say where you guys found it from?
Dude, he did a HELOC on his house, and then I had about like 15, 20 there, and then I got lended by my dad. He took a HELOC on his house, and I was like, "Dude, dad, thank you so
Did you
much."
even know what, like, a HELOC was at that point? Like, what he actually
Yeah,
did? You did? Okay. I wasn't
yeah,
sure if,
and
like,
I was like, yeah, I was so grateful because like my parents financially, they usually never helped me throughout college. Like there was like one or two moments like I really needed help just with like the seizures going on and stuff, but that was a big moment for my dad to do that. I was really grateful.
yeah, I mean, he just basically took out a second loan on his house to fork over his son to go watch him flourish. And obviously he believed in you. Um, were your parents entrepreneurs? Like, what was his reasoning then to like say, okay, I want to give this my son this chance?
Well, he believes in me. He's always like, Ivan, I believe that you can do anything that you want to do. And he's always just pushed on me to reach my potential.
Because a lot of times, like, you talk to parents, like, especially like young kids going to knock doors that don't come from, uh, from Utah, basically, or from the Mormon country. Like, they go knocking doors, like that's just unheard of, right? Like, you can't go do that. Don't go do that. Like, why would you want to go own a business? You can't do it. So most parents like pull their kids back because they're used to going to work. Like the rest of society works at a 9 to 5 job, be secured. Get a 401k, get health insurance. You know what I mean? So
No, for sure. And my dad was really supportive of it. My mom was like, "You're an idiot. You need to go back to fire." I'm like, "Mom, I'm not doing fire." She's like, "At least have security and just finish your certificates there." And I'm like, "That's smart, but I'm not going to do it." I'm like, "I'm focused on this dream, with pest control." And no, it was interesting when I was acquiring it. Everybody was like, "Oh, that's risky,"
for real.
and like, there's a
Everything
lot
is
of
risky. Working for
yeah,
40 hour or for working 40 hours for the next 40 years, being miserable, like that sounds pretty risky to me too.
yeah. That's how I look at it. I'm like, if you don't take risks, you're risking not living life, you know. And yeah, I had a lot of people saying you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, whatever, I'm freaking doing it. But yeah, we acquired the company January 27th of 2023. So we've been doing this for about 2.5 years, almost. No, it was 2022 that we got it. So it's been 3 years. Um, I might be wrong. I need to look at my dates, but
I won't hold you to it.
yeah, but everything just meshes together
Yeah, our brains
after
are
that.
stupid. That's why we have Chat GPT. We
Yeah,
can't because
for
no one can
real.
remember anything.
But yeah, we acquired it, and dude, it's been history ever since. I love pest control with every fiber of my being, man. It's
Yeah. So
phenomenal.
what are the roles? Walk us through the first summer. Like let's start there. Like you guys bought it. Like what were you guys' vision of the company at that point? What were you guys gonna go do with it?
No, we actually had quite a bit of limited beliefs, because this company never did door to door. Like the previous owner was like, "Don't do door to door. It's gonna be not good for you, and it's extremely expensive."
Which is
And we're
all
like,
true.
"Yeah, yeah." And so we're like, "Yeah, we're not a door to door company or whatever." And we did our first summer. I was in the operations. Spencer was in accounting and over the office a little bit. So he's kind of the office manager. I was over operations, over the techs. Um, and we did good. Like, we grew a lot in like May, June, July, and then August was usually our biggest month, and it was our smallest month. That first August, like history showed that was when we grew the most, and we were livid. We're like, why aren't we growing right now? And I'm like, and it was all off of SEO, which I love SEO. I think it works really well.
Just takes a long time. So you those people I'll see them bitch on the forums. Oh, I hired this company 6 months ago and they said they would promise results. I'm like, bro,
It
like
takes time.
just stick with it.
Yeah. And so we were pretty frustrated just because we're like, man, how do we grow faster and stuff? And I actually reached out to Danny Edwilson, the previous owner of Natura. I'm like, dude, what can I do? And he's like, hey, I'm actually doing like coaching for this right now. And so we started doing this coaching with EOS, which is, a
Yeah.
software.
Entrepreneur operating system. Yep.
Yep. And dude, that changed the whole ball game for us.
For real. Yeah. We follow US really closely.
Yeah. So I love EOS. So if you know EOS, then I'm the visionary in the
Cool.
company.
He's the integrator.
Spencer's the integrator. And then I go down into sales and marketing. Spencer is over like HR and accounting and finances. And then we have an office manager. But yeah, so we deeply believe in the EOS system and we live by it now.
It's cool. So walk us through there. So you hire Danny. Um, he brings in EOS, and then like the light bulb clicks. Like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Set the vision of this thing, and then you're pissed off because August is your slow month. Then what do you do? What's your next steps to start growing with it?
Yeah. So yeah, like we did our what's the first meeting called in EOS? I forgot.
Yeah, level 10.
Not a level 10, it was like kind of building out our process and systems.
Gotcha.
So doing the
It's been like
accountability chart.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 3 years for us now, or 2 years. 2 years. But yeah, the first 2 days that we did it, we discovered that our 10-year goal was 33,000 customers. And I'm like, okay, like how are we going to get to that goal? And we discovered that we were going to do door to door.
Why was that? Like, what was your thought process through that?
When we were talking to Danny about it, we're like, we're not a door to door company, but we want this many customers. He's like, okay, you got to be a freaking wizard, Ivan, with SEO if you want that to happen. Or you can do door to door and it can happen in 10 years, like how you want your goal to be. And I'm like, okay. And so we were looking at that, and, he just kind of knocked out our limited beliefs on door to door. Like, hey, you can make this work with door to door if you just have the right perspectives and the right belief system. And I'm like, you're right. Like, get the excuses out. Let's do it. And so we decided to do a door to door program that January for that summer.
I'm assuming that you went out and did you hire sales reps or did you just hire a marketing team?
I hired a team. So
Yeah.
I went out to a buddy. He sold for Moxie and a couple other companies. And I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a marketing team to come do sales for me. And so he's like, oh, I'm actually really interested in that. And then he brought his buddy and he's like, hey, we'll get a team of like 20 for you, and he did like a 84% marketing deal, I think it was, or 82. And he got us a team of 25. And then we're like, yeah, let's do it. And so at that point, we needed to find money.
I was just good. That's where I was like, how did you finance this one? Because I'm assuming the way it was structured is, I don't know, you don't have to tell me exact numbers, but how much was up front and how much was off the back end?
Yeah. So yeah, like up front, I think we did about 15% up front.
Okay, cool.
Back ends, I don't honestly remember what different percentages were on the first and second, but we were looking at it, we're like, oh shit, dude, we need a chunk of money for this. And so we hired these guys like probably the end of January. They start recruiting a team, and we needed to have the money by April 10th. And I was like, where do we even look for this?
I'm assuming you have a set account. Yeah, I'm assuming you have a set of accounts that you want them to hit. So they're like, okay, so this is how much we would have to. Okay, gotcha.
Our goal was about 2,000 accounts. And so we were doing the math there, and we had to find, up in the six figures. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know where to look. Luckily, I had some people that had money, and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to invest in this? And like, dude, I'm shooting from my hip. Like, I don't have anything professional done. I'm like, dude, we just need this money. We'll do an interest rate. Like, and they're like, Ivan, this isn't that professional. Like, we don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about either, but I need this money. Like, it's going to work. I promise. And like, I learned a lot. Like, dude, you got to just be professional when you're asking for money. And, so we were headhunting. We were trying banks. Banks are denying us like crazy. If you probably already know that, like, banks don't like pest control and like they don't like door to door that way. you know, it's too fast of growth, unstable, whatever. But luckily we made some connections, and we drove up to Idaho to this guy that was willing to lend. And we talked to him a little, or actually we didn't even meet with him at this time. We were on the phone, and we went for a drive, me and Spencer, and we were just talking over terms and agreements and everything like that. And April 8th hits, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we need this money. Like we're about to just drop this sales program. And we were pretty naive. We probably could have made it work with like a smaller program, but we didn't know better at that time. And so we were like, okay, it's either all or nothing right here. And like, man, I really don't want to drop this team of 25, and I don't want to drop these 4 technicians that are going to help us grow this. Like we're letting down everybody here. So it was a very heavy moment, and literally the next day the money hits the account. He's like, yeah, let's do a wire today. And I was like,
That's awesome.
that was the biggest relief I think I've ever had in my life. So much anxiety through those like 2 or 3 months that I was like, I don't want anybody to bear that. Like I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy, because it's hard. Everybody's counting on you to get that money. And like, you're like, oh, we're getting the money. We promise, and fulfilling that is a very hard duty. And yeah, we came out with a hard money loan on that. And, I think we did about 1,300 sales that summer. And so we basically doubled our company, revenue wise from that. It was really awesome.
And how fast did you have to pay back the lender?
We did an agreement basically like in 5 years, we could pay him off, and we could talk about the agreement. And basically, we have a good relationship with him now, because after that summer we drove up, met with him and stuff. And the guy, dude, I'll speak all day long about how awesome of a guy he is. Like, I'm so grateful for him, because he gave us that opportunity to grow our company. And so like, I won't get emotional about it, but I get emotional with him. I'm like, dude, you helped me get to this point. Thank you so much. And he's like, dude, I'll do this on the long ride with you guys, just let's figure out like game plans and stuff, and let's keep investing in this. And so he's going to ride with us on the long term of it. And so I think, right now our goal is to exit in about 10 years. So, but yeah, just trying to figure all that out, of trying to hit our goals.
Yeah, that's really cool. What did you learn through that first year with the door-to-door team?
Dude, I got humbled because like, that first summer, like we thought we got it systemized and processed enough, but no, dude, no. Like reservices just rocketed like after a month of sales. And I'm like, what is going on? Like our reservice rate has always been around like 3 to 5%. And now it's up to like 8 or 9. It's going up to 14. I'm like, what is this? And so like we discovered a big thing that I would tell anybody doing door to door, which you probably know, is
I'm already laughing because I know what you're going to say.
yeah, the initial tech needs to set expectations at the door
For
and
sure.
have that.
Sales guys too.
Yeah. And so like we gave that sheet to our sales guys, and all of a sudden, dude, it became so much better. But we did that midsummer. I also discovered like, sales guys, they're very hard pushers, and so trying to be operations, like I'm very operational and they're very sales, you know, and that was very hard to get balanced with each other, because it's always pushback back and forth. Like, hey, I need another truck. Make more sales if you want this same day truck, or like,
That's what I was going to say, because they're going to want it same day. And although we like same day, like next day is probably better, because if they're going to cancel, they're going to cancel overnight anyway. So we want to make sure they're solid
yes,
counts, So yeah, for sure.
exactly. And so like that, and then area management. That was one of the biggest things that I discovered, because I let our sales guys Like our 2 sales leads dictate where we're going. And that was a logistical nightmare. But we got it done, and we got the sales, but it was very hard to do when we didn't have good area management. And so I was very ignorant, or I would say arrogant. By the end of the summer, I was very like, hey, you did not get 2,000 sales for us. Like, what the heck? Like, we're going to go with another company because I wanted 2,000 sales. We got this money to invest for 2,000. You need to give us 2,000. I'm going to go with a different team. I was so dumb for that because they actually did really good. Getting a team together at the end of January and ready to go by, April, May, what they did actually was phenomenal. And I was very humbled this year when we tried to do it in-house and it didn't work out.
Yeah, let's walk us through that. Tell me about it. What happened?
Yeah, so by the end of last summer, I was like, okay, we're going to do it in-house because I think we can get a better marketing deal, with a guy, and like, let's recruit our own and we can really build them to our company and like what we expect here and stuff. And so like we started building with this one guy, and he's a phenomenal guy. He's still one of my greatest friends. He was our sales lead, and we start recruiting and stuff, and he's struggling with recruiting. From October to January, he got one guy. And I'm like, what's going on, brother? And so he's like, dude, I'm just having a hard time because I've never been a recruiter. Like this identity of like, hey, I'm a sales bro. I want you to come do sales. I've never been that guy to push people to do sales. And that image of like, oh, sales are bad. Oh, it's egotistical. Things like that was getting to him when he's meeting with his friends and acquaintances. He's like, I don't want to be that guy that's pushing this on them. I just want them to be wanting to do it. I'm like, you got to change your perspective on it. This is a great opportunity to make a lot of money. It is. I think anybody should do door-to-door sales at least one or 2 years because
I've said that I said that since the day I got into it. Like every single person, everyone should go knock doors
yeah,
for at least 2 summers. It
yeah,
changes your whole life and everything.
it does. Yeah, it makes you so strong.
Yeah, mentally, mental toughness, everything. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so I was like, no, you got to show that this is so good for them. And so he was struggling with recruiting just because of that, limited belief. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to jump into recruiting with you. And so I started recruiting. I think I ended with 10 to 12 guys recruited by the end of February. Just because, and like, part of being an owner, people want to work with the owner a little bit. So it was easier for me to recruit. It's not as challenging being the owner recruiting because people are like, oh my gosh, I'm working with the owner. Like compared to a sales lead, sales leads have it way harder. With recruiting, I think. But I recruited 12 rookies, and then I got one guy with experience. He did 3 years at Brooks Pest Control, and he was a killer. And so I was really excited about him being on the team. And then, yeah, my sales lead, he got 2 people by April. And so I was like, okay, so the recruiting thing didn't really work from this point of view. I'm like, let's see how he does like on a blitz. And so I talked to one of my buddies who owns a company down in St. George, and we went down and did a blitz in St. George, and our team did fairly well. For like half of the team went down, and they were all rookies, and everybody at least got 2 or 3, over a 2 or 3 day period. So I was like, okay, like I think that's great for rookies with limited training to do that. I was like, we have a good team here. Yeah, so our start date for sales was going to be May 1st. We did that blitz mid-April, and we were feeling pretty confident about our team. And so a week before May 1st, our guy that had experience with Brooks Pest Control bailed out. He's like, hey, I'm actually not going to do sales and stuff. And I was like, okay, no stress, brother. And I was actually pretty concerned about that because he was the only one that had experience other than our sales lead. And so the first day of sales, it was 10 to 12 rookies with one guy that had 3 years of experience. And it was his first year too leading a team. So it was just like this big concoction of just like no goods, you know. And so that first day we got like 1 or 2 sales. I was like, "Oh gosh." Like, okay, it's just the first day, you know, people need to get the jitters out, stuff like that, we'll be fine. Um a week later, altogether we had about like I think 15 sales. And I'm like, "Oh gosh, this is not looking good." And so I start talking to um that previous owner of Natura, Danny. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Hey, we need to figure this out. Chance might not be a good fit for a sales lead because he might just be a lone wolf killer." And I'm like, "Yeah, let's figure this out." And I was talking to some owners at Sela and stuff because I have some relationships over there. And they're just like, "Yeah, it sounds like you need to jump in." And so I started jumping in and started trying to help with training. But at this point, it's been 8 years since I've done sales. And so like I try to memorize the pitch and everything over that fall or that spring and everything. But I could sell just because I was confident and I was trying to teach people how to be confident, but they were so already mentally burnt out after 2 weeks of no sales. And so at that point, some people started dropping off. I think we had like 3 or 4 people drop off like, "Hey, this isn't a fit for me." And when that started happening, it just started crumbling. And I
Domino
was like,
effect, yeah.
yeah. And so I looked at our sales lead, I pulled him in. I'm like, "Hey, we're just going to shut this down." And like, I'm like, "This isn't on you. This is your first year, man. This is your first year. Like, don't take too much baggage on this. I should have known better with how it was going with recruiting. I should have known better, you know, like there was a lot of different signs. And I should have realized that with our relationship and I should have said something, but I stuck to a belief instead of stuck with logic, a logical sense behind it. Um but yeah, so we canceled the sales program and actually a lot of people that we recruited was a lot of like family friends and stuff like that. So like the parents were like, "Hey, thank you." Like they need to go make money, So it worked out in their favor. But in the end run, I think I wish I would have kept our sales lead just so he could sell. So we'd be getting sales because he did about 230 the year prior.
So how did you pivot? You don't have a sales team now you gotta go change your path.
So after that happened, we're like, "Oh gosh, like now we're gonna have to really cut some things to be lean so we could be making money." Because we took another investment from our investor for that a little bit, just a smaller one. Um, and so we had to cut 3 people from the office. That was not fun because they just started. We cut 2 technicians. That wasn't fun. And then after we cut those guys, our operations manager at the time, he was like, "Hey, I need to get paid more." And we're like, "Well, we're not going to pay you more right now. Like, we're not making sales." And I'm like, "If we do this correctly, if we stay lean enough, we can give you a raise in November." And he's like, "No, I want it now." And I'm like, "We're not going to give it now." And so he dipped. So our operations manager dipped. Um, those techs dipped, and then like we let go of those techs and we let go of those customer service representatives. And we were actually frustrated because our ops manager dipped after we let go of our CSRs. And I'm like, "Dude, why didn't you tell us before that so we could have some people on the phones?" Because we have an office manager and basically he's becoming more of a branch manager now. And he's just an animal. And we're like, so we're sitting with him, we're like, "Hey, me and Spencer are going to jump into operations. We'll manage, the service experts. That's what we call our technicians. We'll manage the service experts. We'll manage the routes. Like we'll get it done for you." And so over July and August, we were just doing services a little bit and just really helping out with, the operations. Um, Now we're at a point where it's just really chilled out and we got it all situated and stuff. But we jumped in like that because we want to save a lot of money so we don't have to ask for an investment next year.
For sure. What's the plan for next year for sales? Are you gonna go get the marketing team again? What's your plan?
Yeah, so I'm looking for a marketing team right now. Um, and so I have a couple options right now. I'm thinking through them right now, but they're expensive. I just want to make sure like it just makes sense because I don't want to be upside down at some point with the company. Like my valuation's good, but I want good revenue too when we sell. Like I don't want too much debt. I think there's a fine balance of bringing on debt and not bringing on debt, and fluctuating that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And so I think we're looking for, a marketing team of doing just about 1,000 accounts next year. Because that's what we can self fund with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where did 75 Hard start? I know you said you're 21 days into that.
Yeah, dude, it started mid-August. So I have a buddy. He's addicted to the gym, and so I've been working out with him. And like in August, I was doing routes 6 days a week. And he's like, "Hey, I'm starting 75 hard August 15th. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to do it." And so I started 75 hard then. I've been good ever since. I think I'm on day 23. I need to look.
Do you use the app for tracking dates?
No, I should use the app, honestly. But I do all the regulations with it,
Cool. Yeah.
which I should use the app, but I just don't. And like I will be honest, like I don't do the picture thing. I'm like, I always forget the picture. It pisses me off. Like I read my book, I drink my gallon of water, I do my diet, I do my exercises. But yeah, dude, I just forget the picture.
Yeah, that's why it's like having the app is cool because it has like a little check marks you just gotta fill out. And I think
Does
it'd be
it?
awesome.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it does. So like the first thing you do is just take it's free. Just download it and then just it's like upload the picture and then just walks you right through the whole day. You just check it off as you go. And then it's really cool also to see like to go back through like and look at your picture when you first started to like a weekend. It's really, really cool. And then after 75 days, you look back and like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I took pictures for 5 days straight, and then I forgot one day. Yeah, I just got busy,
Yeah.
I was like,
Happens.
"Oh, damn it." But but I just kept going with it because I've made such good progress. Before that, I haven't ran in a long time, and this 75 hard I dedicated that I'd run for 45 minutes in the morning and lift at night.
That's really cool. How you feeling?
Dude, I'm feeling so good, honestly. And one of my things that with no alcohol, I didn't know nicotine because I was a big zenner. I did
Gotcha.
Zens like crazy.
Cool. Good for you.
And yeah, and I quit Zen. So it was crazy because August is one of our busiest months. I think everybody has that. Um, and I was doing 25 services a day with doing it was 20 to 25. I should say that. 20 to 25 services a day. I'd work out in the morning and I'd lift at night, and I quit nicotine. And detoxing from nicotine is rough, dude. I was so irritated every day. I was such a grump. But getting through that and like, dude, it was cool to see what people are like, what I was capable of in August because I did about $30,000 of production while doing the 75 hard, while also managing the guys.
That's
I
awesome.
I
Good for
felt
you.
I felt pretty awesome about it, you
That's
know?
cool. Yeah. It's a lot of big changes all at once. So out in Utah, like I said, we had the Charlie Kirk thing. What's the feeling there? Like I know you're only a mile away when it happened, is what you told me. Like again, we don't have to go into too much detail, but just like walk us through and then tell me like what's like the atmosphere out there like right now? What is it? What's going on out there?
You know, so I'll just go from when it happened. Basically, Um, I was just in the office. We had a couple meetings for our team and stuff, and then one of our CSRs came out and said, "Hey, Charlie Kirk got shot," and I'm like, "What do you mean? He's at UVU. That's like literally a mile away from our shop." He's like, "No, he got shot," and he like showed us the video. It was awful. I wish I didn't see it. Um, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's dead." And right when that happened, I'm like, "I'm going home, guys. I think you guys should go home. You guys," I told my CSRs to go work from home and stuff. And I went home immediately because I was scared for my wife and my kids. Because if you ever, I think it was the Boston marathon massacre with the bombers, and they went to residential neighborhoods and hid. And so that was the first thought that went through my head. I was like, "Okay, I'm going home. I'm going to go be with my family." Um, and I got there, and I had 4 or 5 buddies actually there, and they were like in the first couple rows of it, and it traumatized them. It was really sad. It was a very eerie feeling for the last couple of days. People have been really emotional. I was emotional because it was a mile from our house. Um, and so like it was very relatable for me and my business partner Spencer because he's our age. Like I'm 30. Charlie Kirk was 31. He has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. My 2 kids are under the age of 3. His 2 kids are like under the age of 5 or 6. I'm like, that is me with my family. Like, what if I didn't come home? And so it really wrecked me that day. I was really sad and I was having a really hard time.
Yeah, I told you same thing to me. Like I'm not out there, so it's a lot closer to home for you, like literally. But it hit it home to me too. Like, yeah, I'm 41, got 3 daughters. Like, I could not imagine what they would have to go through. And the kids are so young. And I read something online, and again, it's online, so I don't know if it's true. That the 3-year-old, like, as soon as the gunshot went off, she got scared and ran for her dad.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's just awful, because like, yeah, I have a daughter that's 3 and like put myself in that position. I wouldn't want her there at all. No one deserves to see that.
No, no,
No
no. Like,
one.
no one deserves. Again, I know there's shit that get posted online. I don't fucking care what people post. Like, at the end of the day, no matter which side you're on, we're all Americans. We're all on the same team. And just because someone else has beliefs in other than you, whether you believe it, whether you want to agree or disagree, that's fine. But no one should get their life taken away for that.
Amen. I 100% agree.
He's someone's dad, he's someone's son, he's someone's husband, and not even going into politics. Like, who gives a fuck about anything about that? Like, just as a person, like, no one deserves that.
Yes. People are human. We need to be human. Don't dehumanize him.
And not that I ever want anything bad to happen to the country, because I don't. Like, I love this country. We live in the best country in the world. And I don't want anything bad to happen to the country. But if it did, it'd bring us together and like make us one again. And I don't want anything bad to happen. But I understand like we need something to bring us back together.
Yes, no, we really do. Um, and I'm not saying violence is the answer, but we need unity.
As I say, like we need to be unified again. And even with like, and you see it online, and I try not to look right now because I just don't want to see some of the stuff, and it irritates me that people like are praising and happy, and like I don't care I don't care if you're like I have zero issues with trans. Like I have zero issues uh with gay. I don't care if my brother's gay. I don't care. Like I just don't care. It means nothing to me. Like everyone just they're we're people. Whoever makes them happy is happy. But at the end of the day, like just gotta be sane. Like it's not that hard. And these people just have issues, unfortunately, you know?
You can be friends with people that have different beliefs and opinions. Like I'm, I lean more conservative. I believe in the Constitution, things like that. But I have a couple that I hang out with. They're gay, and we go over and we play video games with them,
Absolutely.
and like we get pizza. I'm like, and I know they're liberal, but I'm like, guys, I love you. Like we have a good time hanging out. I don't give a shit what you believe or what you do. Let's just be good to each other.
And I think 90% of Americans like all agree roughly the 90% of the time. We just do. But the 10% is so loud And they're boisterous and make us think that everyone's just divided. It's just not the truth. It's not. Like you go talk to the average American across the street or down the corner, like 90% of the time, they're just like we are. They're no different. They all believe in whatever they want to believe in, but we all have like kids should be safe at school.
Yeah. No, they should be. Without a doubt, they should be safe there.
And I could go make a huge list of a million things we could talk about, but just to say, like, it's pretty crazy. So, what is that? What's the energy like out there right now? What was the energy like that day and a couple
Dude,
days after?
like the day of, it was very
Somber.
disturbing. Yeah, and it was somber. Like honestly, everybody was at their homes, families were texting each other stuff, but everybody was in their homes. Nobody went to school. They all got school was closed and stuff and sent home. Um,
Are they open back up yet, or are they still shut down?
I think well, I know UVU shut down for another like 2 weeks, I think. So UVU shut down. So some of my buddies that are going there, they don't have school for I think about 2 weeks. I might be wrong, but they told me it's gonna be a minute. So that like the schools were shut down, people were very scared, you know. Like I'd go to a buddy, like I went to a couple buddies' homes since then, and they're like, I'm gonna protect my family. I'm gonna buy some ammo and stuff. And so a lot of people were buying ammo, which is I'm like, don't use it, but go home, like use it for self defense. But
It's crazy. It may sound like where I live. It's like so rural and small town. Every single person here, like, and I'm not joking. Everyone has guns here. Everyone has
oh yeah,
guns,
and that's basically 90% of Utah. The only place that doesn't have guns is Salt Lake.
right?
Like Utah County, it's very like gun oriented. And so like everybody has guns and stuff, but so people were pretty scared about that, and people are very religious out here. So they're like Jesus is coming, things like that. And I'm like, guys, like you don't know that. Like we don't know what's going to happen next. But people were very scared of the repercussions of it.
For sure. Yeah, and like I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. Like you again, you want to if something happens on the other side, you see George Floyd thing, also in Minnesota's break, like not like I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but nothing happened, thankfully. Like no one rioted, no one went crazy. Like thank God nothing else happened, which is great. But we can move on from that one. But like let's transition to it's probably not a great word to use right now, huh? Transition. Let's just switch over to I guess we're hour 15 minutes in, so we'll wrap this up so we can get rolling. But what's the next 5 years look like for you, business wise, personally? What's your goals? I know you said 33,000 accounts. Super awesome. Excited for you guys. Walk us through the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, like after this summer, you know, there's 100 different ways that you can run with a pest control company. There's so many different ways. And so me and Spencer, we're just really thinking through like, okay, what do we do here? Um, do we just go debt heavy and hit? Like we have an opportunity with a marketing company where they're saying like, hey, run 5 or 6 years, we'll get you to 33,000 or 33,000 customers. But that's debt heavy. I'm like that's a way we could go. We're not leaning towards that, you know. Sorry, brother, if you're listening to this, but um, like I'm not leaning towards that just because we don't want to be that debt heavy. Like we got some advice from another owner where he was part of Sela, and he's like, dude, do your programs debt free, just self fund them. He's like, start small, get bigger. And he's like, do it for 15, 20 years. And I'm like, and I'm looking at it and we're looking at our numbers because, we did an SBA loan. We're paying that every month. We did an investment for the door to door program. We're looking at all this debt that we have brought on and we're like, yeah, we need to get out of this. And so we're leaning way more towards that of like, let's get debt free because we didn't do it the traditional way of where I've seen other pest control companies do it. Usually they go into door to door and they're like, oh, I'm going to go start my own. They start knocking doors themselves and start building their company. Or they're like a tech and started their own. No, we had zero money to our name and we bought this company. And so we started with a chunk of debt. And so,
Did the previous owner stay on as like an advisor or anything like that?
uh, yeah, he's kind of a consultant, like just for like a first couple months, But after the first couple months, we're like, we're good, brother. Like, go retire, go enjoy your family,
Awesome. What about on your personal side? What goals you got there?
dude. I want to be ripped as fuck.
Me too.
That's what I want. Um, when my wife got pregnant with our first one, dude, I gained like 30 pounds. I was a chunky boy.
I did too. Don't worry.
Yeah, and I'm just slowly getting away from that right now. And so, like, no, I want to be ripped. I want, yeah, I want to have a good family life, honestly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. 2 years ago, I think I'm 41. So my year and a half ago, I said by the time I was 40, my number one goal for what year? We 25, 24. So my number one goal for 2023 was to have a six pack. So by the end of like 2023, I had a pretty good six pack. I got like a six pack, eight pack now, oblique showing. But it just took a long time. But I was always that way in high school. Then I kind of found like youth, college, kind of just lost my way. And the business starts and you get caught up in business. And then you're doing the tech work and you're doing everything else. And you're stopping at gas stations eating like shit. Like you're not sleeping well. Like you get it.
Dude,
And so it happened to me
you
too. Then your wife gets pregnant. And then like, she wants to eat Burger King at 3 a.m. So I'm eating Burger King at 3 a.m. Yeah, I get it.
preach, man, preach. Yeah, literally. You guys don't have Mavericks out there, but Maverick is a gas station here.
We have quick trips everywhere.
Yeah, I know Quick Trips, but our Mavericks, dude, they have the best burritos.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, you wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I want my burrito and my monster. I'm ready to go. And that's what I did when I was a technician. I would eat that every morning, and it was not good for me.
No, but I feel like I, everyone kind of most people, I shouldn't say everyone, most people just go through this journey. Like at some point, health just finds you, whether it's by choice or out of necessity. It's one or the other. But at some point, it's going to become important to you. And thankfully, I found it before it became a necessity. But some people don't, and so like I want to preach that to you. Just like take care of yourself. You can't take care of yourself. You can't take care of business. You can't take care of anyone.
No, like, it was interesting. So, like, after the sales program last year, October hit, and me and Spencer were so cooked. We're like, let's take a break. We didn't work for a month. That was a bad decision, you know, like, because like I've discovered if you're productive, you're going to be even more productive with other things. But if you're not productive at all, you're going to be way less productive when you're not doing anything. And so, like, that, like, I think every business owner has had a taste of that at some point where they're like, okay, I'm not going to be like, if they have the right systems and processes and stuff, like they can take a break like that, but it's addicting and you need to get away from it.
Yeah, I've traveled around the country a lot, and I've said this in the podcast before too. Like I'll fly out to people's places, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just not growing anymore. Like I'm just super happy." And they're like they cross like that $1 million in revenue. They're happy. They live a lifestyle business, make good money. Like yeah, but we're just not really growing. And they're like, "Okay, cool. How often you working?" Like, "Oh yeah, I haven't been there in 6 weeks." I'm like, well, there's your answer. And it just happens. It just happens to some people. They hit that $1 million mark like it's like this big thing. Like, would I get it? It's super awesome. Like, congratulations. But it's just you're just still such a small company. Like, and there's nothing wrong with having a $1 million company making $400,000 a year. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want a lifestyle business, that's cool. But if you say, hey, I want something bigger, I want more, like you just have to put in an effort. And so if you're gone for 4 or 6 weeks at a time, the effort's just not there. And so like it happens all the time. And I get it. You burn out. People have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years and they're at 800,000 or 400,000 and they're like, I just can't. Like I get it.
So, yeah, like, yeah, I've discovered like if you are coasting, the only way you're coasting is going downhill in my eyes.
I
You
agree.
can't coast going straight. you're going downhill every time.
And just to tie it into health, like it's all about endurance in business, you know, like you said, you're doing the tech work, you're doing all this extra stuff. We're working 60, 80 hours a week and we still have to provide for our family. We have to be home for our kids. Like you have to take care of yourself. Because again, at the end of the day, it's just like the people who stay in the business the longest and work the hardest and stay in the same industry are the ones who succeed. That's all there is to it. Showing up every single day, putting in the work.
Yes, absolutely. And like it was interesting to see the morale of our team change when me and Spencer were back in, you know. Like they're like, "Oh, they're dedicated. We're dedicated." You know, our previous ops manager was not dedicated. You know, we kind of discovered that he was working 8 hours a week and it was our fault for not tracking that. We should have tracked that. Oh, how dumb am I for not tracking that? You know, he lost us a lot of money in our equipment and our trucks just because we were not tracking him on a scorecard himself. And I was like, man, what a learning experience. Like,
Yeah, you're getting an MBA in business right now, for sure.
yeah. And so like you got to have scorecards for the management team as well.
Agreed. Couldn't agree
Always,
more.
because I think the management team can take more advantage of you than anybody else. And he did that over the last, you know, it was from January to June, those 6 months, dude, he took so advantage of us. We were like, "Hey, we're going golfing. Do you have your stuff done? You want to go golf with us?" He's like, "Oh yeah, all my stuff's done." Stuff wasn't done. Like when he resigned, we discovered that there was like 6 or 7 trucks that were not ready to go. Oh, it floored me. And like a lot of the trucks didn't have oil changes. Our backpacks were broken. I was like, what is going on here? And some of the rigs that we had before we switched to backpacks, you know, were just torn apart for some reason. I'm like, why are these torn apart? So like we had so much work to do in the ops in July. And when we started doing that, all of a sudden these service experts are coming to us too. And we're like, we're so glad you're back, because there were so many empty promises. We're so glad you're back, because I would try to confront a problem and he would dodge it. And I'm like, wow, like it's very important to have a good leader in your ops so the morale is high and they're ready to work hard.
Yeah, like I said, you're getting an MBA, which, you know, sometimes it takes learning the hard way. As long as you don't have to learn that way twice, we're good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, PBD, I don't know if you follow Patrick David, but he says outcompete, outwork, and outlast. Like, and outlast comes with like taking care of yourself.
Yeah. And dude, like I've discovered the more you work hard and you work out, like physically, dude, you'll be so happy and so at peace with your life. You feel so much better. You start eating better and stuff. Oh my gosh.
You just have more energy, your morale's like, yeah, your kids are happy to see you. Like, yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. There's so many benefits, and then the not drinking. I've been drinking 5 years. Yeah, over 5 years on in July. So yeah, like that again, life changing experience too. But it started with 75 hard 5 years ago. I think I've done it. I think I've done it 8 times this year, and I think I've finished it 6.
Dude, that is awesome. I see. I think I did 75 hard 4 times and I've only accomplished it 1 time so far.
Well, don't quit this time.
No, I'm not going to. But I'm going to use the app though, because I didn't know the app I didn't know it tracked things like that. So,
Yeah, it just tracks everything. It walks right through the process. Morning workout, afternoon workout. You know, so it's cool.
yeah, no.
Awesome, man. Well, again, I don't want to take too much of your time. We're an hour and a half in. Sorry about yesterday. I'm glad we made this thing work. You're a stud. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, appreciate you. See you.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.